Hello and welcome to Midweek Meditations, where we have an opportunity to briefly share with you what God has shared with us. We've been on this journey together as a church talking about pardon our mess, new life is under construction. And we had a subtitle this weekend entitled How to Handle the Mess. Nehemiah in chapter 5 of the book of Nehemiah finds himself in the middle of some conflict, in the middle of some difficult situations. And it is a corporate situation. It's with his people. They're going through something. They've been charged high interest on money that they had to borrow. They weren't even able to feed their families. They are in despair. They are hurting. And so they cry out to Nehemiah. I want you to catch verses 5 and 6 of chapter 5. I want you to hear what Nehemiah says to the people here. And Nehemiah says, "And I became very angry when I heard their outcry and these words. After serious thought, I rebuked the nobles and rulers and said to them, each of you is exacting usury from his brother. So I called a great assembly against them." I want you to hear the heart of Nehemiah. In these two verses alone, Nehemiah teaches us three things about how to handle difficult situations, how to handle opposition, how to go up against everything that the enemy throws at you. I want to remind you, before I give you these 3 points, that the enemy, once you make up in your mind that I want to rebuild, restructure, do things over again and better for the Lord, the enemy is not going to stand still and let you do it. He's going to come at you with all he has. But Nehemiah teaches us just in these two verses how to deal with the stuff that he throws at you. And so number one, Nehemiah teaches us that you've got to own your feelings and you've got to think through your reaction. Can I say that one more time? Own your feelings and think through your reactions. Oh, I want to pause and tell you, how many times have you and I gotten in deeper trouble because we did not take ownership of our feelings? We tried to throw it off on somebody else. Nehemiah says, I was angry. I was upset. I was bothered. Nehemiah is letting the people know that this thing bothered me. But then he says, but I thought through how I would handle the situation. So Nehemiah teaches us that if you're not going to handle opposition, if we're going to handle difficult moments, you have to take ownership of your feelings and you also need to think through your reaction. Here's the next thing that Nehemiah teaches us. Right in these verses, Nehemiah tells us that there are times that you have to stand up and be counted. Oh yes, Nehemiah teaches us that. He teaches us that there are times that you've got to take a stand. You've got to make up in your mind that even though everybody else is doing what they want to do, I'm going to take a stand and I'm going to stand firm because I've been called by God to do the will of God. So Nehemiah teaches us that there are times that you and I have to take a stand. And I want to pause and tell you, so many times we think that being a Christian means that we're supposed to be passive and just let things happen. No, God calls us to take a stand. Somebody needs to know what we believe in. And then the last thing Nehemiah teaches us, throughout that chapter, he teaches us that you need to know who you work for. Yeah, you work for God. You are a child of God. You've been called by God for such a time as this. God is looking for you and I to do his divine and perfect will. And I want to tell you something, that when you make up in your mind to follow these steps, the enemy is not going to just stand by and say, you go ahead and do your thing. No, the enemy is going to come in and do all that he can against you and to hold you down. He may be trying right now to hold you down, but I've got a remedy for that. I want to tell you something. I'm going to close this like I closed out our message this past weekend. And I told the church about this term that John Madden came up. It's called YAC, Y-A-C, and it simply means yardage after contact. It's a football adage, but I want you to catch it. I want you to catch what this means. This means that a running back, when he gets that ball and he starts making it towards the goal line, the opposition, the opposing team is supposed to keep him from getting to that goal. The opposition is supposed to hold him back. But you know what? The running back has made up in his mind that he's going forward. Well, he's going to get hit, but does that mean that he caves in? Does that mean he throws the ball down? Does that mean he throws the game? No. The moment he's hit, he realizes that this is real and I've got to keep on going. And so he tries to make as much yardage as possible after the contact. Can I bother you for a moment and tell you that that's how you and I have to do when we're called by God? We have to keep on keeping on. We have to make as much yardage as we possibly can with the goal in mind that I'm trying to get home. I'm trying to get my life together. I'm trying to clean up and be all that God would have me be. And so whatever the enemy throws at me, I'm going for the yardage after the contact. You've got to be willing to say, well, no weapon formed against me is going to prosper. You've got to understand that what God has for you, he has for you. And so I want to challenge you today that you hold on to God's unchanging hand. Take the hits that the enemy gives you. Realize that I'm not going out. I'm not getting out of the game. I'm going to hold on till the end comes, and I'm going to make some extra yardage even after the contact. Hang in there with us as we conclude this weekend. Pardon our mess. New life is under construction. Until we meet again, may the Lord bless and keep you.